Well, Labour also gained a new supporter before the election in Richard Walker, who is the executive chair of Iceland. He switched his allegiance from Conservatives, and I've been speaking to him about whether the government is delivering in the way he hoped. Thanks so much for being on the programme. It's always good to get your perspective on things. I guess my first question is, what do you make about kind of the state of the British economy?
Well, we obviously see it from a grocer perspective, from a food perspective, and we're assuming food inflation of around 5-6% this year. So it absolutely hasn't gone away. There's still a lot of cost pressures through the system. We're obviously working as hard as we can to try and mitigate that. But what we see from our customers at the till, 5 million customers a week, online, offline, it's still hard and they're still struggling to make ends meet. And inflation certainly hasn't gone away, and I think there's still more to come there for sure.
When you talk about people's habits at the till, what sort of thing do you mean? Do you mean going for the better value stuff, spending less money,
exactly
cheaper
right,
goods?
Yeah, I mean, our sales are good. We're attracting customers from other retailers, people really looking for value. So, a lot of our core ranges are doing really well. And we've had a very specific strategy over the last couple of years to deflate ahead of the market, ahead of everyone else. And that investment in price and customer proposition has really kind of worked for us.
You're obviously a successful businessman who switched your political allegiance, if I can say that, from the Conservative Party to the Labour Party. So I'm interested to get your perspective on some of the kind of economic decisions that the Chancellor is going to have to make. Because, look, on the one hand, she's kind of butting up against her fiscal rules. She's struggled to get spending cuts through Parliament. Yeah. I mean, a tax rise is the answer, do you think?
Well, people are saying tax rises are inevitable, and I'm no economist, but you would always hope, and I would hope, that the Chancellor would have fiscal prudence at the core. And certainly there is a real kind of public spending crisis, and the money has got to come from somewhere. Now, where does it come from? There's the Chancellor is quite boxed in terms of what she's ruled out in terms of taxes. But as a top-rate taxpayer, I speak for myself and many others when, I wouldn't begrudge an extra penny or two on that top rate of income tax, which would raise an enormous amount of money. But, she's going to have to find it somewhere. There's obviously chatter about a wealth tax.
Yeah. What do you think of that? What do you make of a wealth tax?
Well, funny enough, I'm not in favour of it. But if you look at a business like Iceland, it was started 54 years ago by my mum and dad. We've just announced our financial results. Last year, we contributed 150 million in tax to the UK coffers. If you look back over the last 20 years, it's 2.3 billion. So we've got to look after and nurture our wealth creators, because ultimately all of the tax that we are reliant on comes from private enterprise. Without private sector growth and investment, there's nothing. People say, what do you do for a living? I could say I sell frozen peas, but I could say I build schools and hospitals, because the tax that we pay ultimately contributes to the UK economy. I'm
interested that you think, a little bit on the higher rate of income tax would be a better way of raising that money than a wealth tax. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's more of a direct approach and probably directly relating to what people are earning. I think there is a real issue in terms of the implementation of a wealth tax, what that would actually look like in theory.
Do you think it could drive people to leave the UK? Because obviously the people are very mobile, right?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, we're a proud British business and taxpayer, and we're going nowhere. But I think clearly people, especially wealthy people, are globally mobile, and the risk is that the UK loses its appeal as a place for people to create business, to invest and to grow. And obviously that helps all of society. And, that's what the government has to remember first and foremost, that a healthy private sector means healthy public finances.
Do you think Rachel Reeves is seen as a friend of business?
I think so. Certainly the mood music and the rhetoric at the start in terms of being the most pro-growth, pro-business government ever was good. Then, of course, we had the budget, which was a bit more challenging and quite a bitter pill to swallow. But
you spoke out about the national insurance contribution rises, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that's, that to employers like ourselves, we also own a restaurant business. And, there are certain sectors where it is really tough. But we can mitigate it, we've managed it, and we'll get through it. But that's not the case for everyone, and not everyone is our size and scale. So it was quite a blunt instrument. But if they can get the public finances back on track, if they can invest the money wisely in terms of the money that has been raised, and that's obviously the critical point, then I don't think anyone would begrudge the Halloween budget of 2024.
What would you like to see them focus on then?
Well, I think we have some real regulatory challenges. As a business, I say all we want to do is open shops, create jobs and pay tax, but we're stymied at every turn because of planning laws. People don't realise the level of planning bureaucracy in commercial property. I have to get planning which could take 12, 16 weeks just to change a shop sign or to put air conditioning at the back of a shop. It's
to change a
bonkers.
shop sign.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of thing do they have to,
Well, we have to go through statutory kind of minor amends. And that's time and resource that those hard-working, already overworked, overstretched planners could be dedicating on building new housing estates, or infrastructure projects, because it's the same planners looking at all of it. So I think there are certain things where we need more of a commercial view, a pro-business friendly view, so that we can just get on with the job of growing and creating jobs and paying tax.
I'm just going to end with a slightly cheeky question, because in February this year, you scored the government 6 out of 10. So I'm going to ask you to do the same now.
Did I?
Has your score changed? Has it got worse, better? Was it still a 6 out of 10?
Well, it's definitely still work in progress. So it certainly hasn't gone up, I'll tell you that.
Hasn't gone up?
Not yet.
Has it gone down?
No, but, the clock is ticking. So they've been a year in. It's obviously been a very eventful year. But I do think that, the rhetoric and the interaction has been very good with business, actually. But now they've got to deliver. They've got to deliver on tangible results, regulatory change, and getting business, getting the UK growing again.
Thank you very much. Always good to talk to you.